So Eli had the talk tonight, and I guess he was wanting me to get some practice for being on the spot in India to give a talk. But those of y'all that have been there, y'all understand how they put you on the spot over there to speak all of a sudden. But I was proud of him. He did this talk sometime back in the summer. He sat there at the table and he typed everything up. And I looked over it this week. He wanted me to look at it, making changes, but I wasn't going to change it because it was great. Tonight, Eli was going to talk about Luke 15 and the three parables: the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the prodigal son. And his theme was going to be that Jesus is always waiting for us. But Eli has had a tough week. Just some things at school has happened, and right before church, I knew something was bothering him, so I went in his room and he clams up just a little bit. Y'all don't have to tell him I'm talking all about him up here, but he clams up, and his grandma was on his mind. And I'm not sure that he ever really grieved, as he should. And it's just hit him. And anyways, and then it hit me, here Grandma's on his mind, a person he loved so much and lost. I'm leaving in the morning or tomorrow going to India. So here I am. I'm going out of his life for about 8 days or so. And I guess that's got to be tough on a 13-year-old. Everybody asks me, how can you go to India? But the real hero is Angela. How did she run the household while I'm gone? And how do my kids put up with me being gone? And that just got me to thinking, are we truly there for each other? Are we always being there for one another? Are we? Seriously, I'm asking y'all that question. I want you to ask that question to yourself. This last year, no doubt, I learned a lot. I changed a lot. Is it all good? I don't know, but I've done a lot of self-reflection over this last year. Watching my wife was a great example of this last year. Her example of caring, many nights without sleep just to be there for her mother. Anyways, something I know I've gotten up here and spoke about a lot over the years, and something I always come back to is Galatians 6:2, bear one another's burdens. Is that something that we do? Do I do it? No, we don't. We don't. But we also don't tell each other our burdens either, do we? Please be honest with yourself. Why don't we? I mean, we're pretty superficial people. We don't get much deeper than the surface. Is it because we're afraid of being judged? Are we afraid of what our brothers and sisters might think of us? I know I am. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Why can we not be real with one another? That's something we all need to be, is real. But we're afraid of the judgment that we might get from one another. That's not the way it should be. I read an article over the last week or so, and the title of it was, "Want to Feel Loved? Get Cancer." That was a tough topic. I mean, just a tough title. Then underneath it said, "You don't know what demons other people are battling. Love them as if you do." Do we do that? We don't. I know we don't. Usually I'm too busy with my own life to care what's really bothering you. Another sentence within the article said, "We take our time for granted. Don't, not one single moment." And it goes on to describe that everyone has a hardship in their life, a hard time in their life. And that's true. Those are our burdens. And we'll all have one sooner or later. Those are those burdens that we need to bear for one another. I'm going to read something from there. People are hurting all around us, and we just need to be better. We need to be more kind. We need to have more patience. We need to give more grace. We need to love more. We need to love people more. That's describing Jesus. This wasn't a religious article at all, but Jesus is who I pictured when I read that. And then this is something that I learned over this past year, something I've been guilty of doing. And finally, when you know someone is going through it hard, spend less time asking what you can do for them and just do. That's something I've learned. I'm not going to tell you what you can do for me. I might not even know what you can do for me. Just do. Joshua, you might have a hard time. I need to find out what I can do for you and just do it. Something I have found just a little bit, I've been involved in the benevolence work here, is the folks that we can help the most aren't the ones that come asking for it. It's the ones that we know of the need. They're the ones that are most appreciative of that. And I believe they're the ones that see Jesus in us, because Jesus went, I believe, and that's what we need to do. Let's read Philippians 2, verses 1 through 8. So if there's any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men, and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on the cross. We've got to be imitators of Christ. He was the true example, and something I think we all fail to do is that he was in this flesh. He had the same skin that we did, same everything. He had the same temptations we do. But yet, he was without sin. But we got to remember, he understands us. He knows us. He understands us. He's been there. He's done that. But do we show the compassion of Jesus? I know that's been my goal. And this last year, I've seen myself being more compassionate. Maybe being a supervisor of people, that's not the best thing in the world sometimes. Might be more compassionate than I should, but it's just, I would rather be compassionate and let myself get ran over than be otherwise. So are we there for each other? Are you there for me? Am I there for you? Honestly, sometimes I'm probably not. Let's all strive to do that. Joshua, are you there for Don Lee when he needs you? Young to old, old to young, each other. But tonight, as Eli would have reminded us if he'd been up here tonight, Jesus is always there for us. So let us be more like him. If you have a need, I invite you to come while we stand and sing.